Okay. All right, 7 o'clock, let's call this meeting to order, please. Everyone, please rise for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In 4 years, I haven't started the meeting late. Today wasn't going to be the first day. Roll call, please. Here.
Lozino.
Present.
Cox.
Here.
Maszewski.
Here.
Readers.
Here.
McCollum.
Here.
Rulis. Seeley.
Here.
Quorum is established.
Amendments to the agenda. I do have one. I would like to bump up the executive session to right after the public hearing. Any other amendments to tonight's agenda? All in favor of amending the agenda as presented, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, no presentations. We do have a public hearing. And I have to read this whole thing, you said, Bart?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it says. This hearing will come to order. Let the record reflect that this is a public hearing being held pursuant to the requirements of sections 10 and 20 of the Bond Issue Notification Act of the State of Illinois as amended. Notice of this hearing was published on May 14th, 2015 in the Kendall County Record, a newspaper of general circulation in the city. This is a hearing regarding a plan to issue not to exceed $6,250,000 in aggregate principal amount of the issuer's general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source, series 2015A. The proceeds of the bonds will be used to finance the acquisition, construction, rehabilitation, and equipping of infrastructure improvements within the city, including but not limited to water infrastructure improvements in the city's countryside subdivision, current refund, a portion of the city's outstanding general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source, series 2005, which were issued to finance certain redevelopment project costs to be incurred in connection with the redevelopment of the U.S. Route 34 and Illinois Route 47 Countryside Shopping Center, tax increment financing redevelopment project area, and pay certain costs of issuance of the bonds thereof. The bonds will be issued by the issuer in accordance with the provisions of Section 15 of the Local Government Debt Reform Act of the State of Illinois as amended. It shall constitute a general obligation of the city payable from all collections distributed to the city from retailers, occupation taxes, service occupation taxes, use taxes, and service use taxes, and valorem taxes of the city for which its full faith and credit have been irrevocably pledged, unlimited as to rate or amount. This public hearing is required by Section 10 of the Bond Issue Notification Act of the State of Illinois as amended. At the time and place set for the public hearing, residents, taxpayers, and other interested persons will be given the opportunity to express their views for or against the proposed plan of financing, the issuance of bonds, and the purpose of the issuance of bonds.
That's it. 9 o'clock. Yes, very good.
Thank you. Would anybody like to express their views for or against the proposed plan? Last chance. Okay, we will close public hearing. Next, we will go into executive session, and then we'll come back out and continue where we left off. We'll adjourn to executive session. Shouldn't be more than 15, 20 minutes? Okay. Whenever you're ready, Beth. No rush. Okay, we'll call this meeting back to order. Do we have any citizen comments this evening on items that are on our agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Pelissimo,
Aye.
Machuski,
Aye.
Rulis, Raiders,
Aye.
O'Connor,
Aye.
Hope,
Aye.
Sealing,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of April 28th, 2015 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions, or corrections on the minutes? Yes, sir.
Just at the last page under additional business, our friend Jerry from WSPY is actually Jared from WSPY, so we can just change Jerry to Jared. That'd be cool. What's that? Hey, you know. That's it. Thank you.
Any other corrections on the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to mayor's report. I'll entertain a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of Donald Markham to the zoning board of appeals to a term ending May 2017.
Second.
Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Raiders,
Aye.
Pelissimo,
Aye.
O'Connor,
Aye.
Machuski,
Aye.
Sealing,
Aye.
Hope,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Okay, we have some sort of report from the police pension fund board.
Yes, the report itself is in your packet, and Finance Director Frederickson can answer any questions about the report itself.
Do we have any questions regarding the pension fund report? Yes, sir.
Just a comment, it looks like we're doing much better this year than we were last year.
Yeah, well, I'll let Rob expand.
Well, from a contribution standpoint, we are. I mean, the last 3 years now, we've met or exceeded the actuarial recommended contribution. From a percent funded level, we did go down from 44 to about 40%, and the reason being is we actually changed the investment rate of return. We knocked it down 50 basis points. It was at 7.5. It's currently at 7%, and that's pursuant the pension funding policy that we passed a couple meetings ago. The reason we did that is just to bring it more in line with what the fund's actually yielding. 7.5 is probably a little bit on the high side.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, how, as far as our schedule before the state starts taking funds involuntarily from us, how are we on that, based on that schedule? Because I know we don't have to be at 100%, but what was the percentage we have to meet by?
Well, you're required to be 100% funded by 2040.
Well, actually 90% funded according to state statute by 2040.
Right, but wasn't it by 2016 or 17 they were going to start taking a percentage of your motor vehicle?
Well, I believe they could if you weren't meeting your actuarial required contribution, but we are.
We are.
Right, so.
Okay, so it's not really the funding ratio as long as we're meeting our yearly payment,
Essentially,
and
yeah.
then some. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, next I'll entertain a motion to approve a resolution approving a local agency agreement for federal participation between the United City of Yorkville and the Illinois Department of Transportation, Illinois Route 47 ITEP project TE-00D3087, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on the Route 47 ITEP? Roll call, please.
Pelissimo,
Aye.
O'Connor,
Aye.
Machuski,
Aye.
Sealing,
Aye.
Hope,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Raiders.
Aye.
Next is a NIMAC streetlight renewal. I'll entertain a motion to authorize the city administrator and finance director to sign contracts to secure the provision of electricity for the city's streetlight accounts from the firm identified as a low-cost provider by NIMAC, effective only for the current NIMAC renewal cycle, which ends on June 30th, 2015.
So moved. Second.
Comments, questions? Roll call, please.
O'Connor,
Aye.
Machuski,
Aye.
Sealing,
Aye.
Coe,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Raiders,
Aye.
Colosimo.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And for Public Works Committee report, I will turn it over to our new Public Works Committee Chairman, Alderman Funkhauser.
I'd make a motion to authorize staff to prepare the application for the Kendall Road, Mill Road, and Countryside projects for Kane Kendall Council of Mayors. Call for projects for future consideration by City Council.
Second.
Comments or questions on that one?
What was the recommendation out of committee for this? Was it?
It was a positive recommendation.
Roll call, please.
Olszewski,
Aye.
Teeling,
Aye.
Coe,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Raiders,
Aye.
Colosimo,
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
For Economic Development Committee report, I will turn it over to Alderman Coke.
You said going individually? Yes, okay. Motion to,
Kathy said you can do them all as one.
Kathy's the attorney.
Kathy said.
Kathy said.
So, a motion to approve an ordinance approving the First Amendment to an annexation agreement by and between the city and the DJJRB Family Land Trust, Aspen Ridge. Also Gerald Brummel, Shelley Farm. Division of First National Bank of Omaha as trustee under the trust agreement and known as Trust 2845 Evergreen Farm Estates. And Justine Brummel, Silver Fox, and authorized the mayor and city clerk to execute.
Missed one.
Missed one.
Oh,
BBG Kendall.
sorry. Also, a motion to approve the ordinance for the amendment and annexation agreement between the city and BBG Kendall LLC, an Illinois limited liability company, Yorkville Estates, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Comments, questions on this? Roll call, please.
Whoa,
Whoop.
I have a question. Last city council meeting, there was a lady in the audience that made a comment about this. I don't know what that was about, because nothing was ever discussed.
I didn't either.
I think it's three of us.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I think there was a misunderstanding as to what this actually did based on her comments.
That's what I was
After the
thinking.
meeting, I actually looked for her, but I think she
Yeah,
hurriedly left after she had the ability to say what she wanted, so.
yeah.
But,
I just wanted to make sure she understood what was actually happening.
Well, I don't think that's the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, she was mentioning something about the forest preserve or something.
Right. So,
Okay. But we didn't get any phone calls about it or
No.
anything?
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Teeling,
Aye.
Coe,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Raiders,
Aye.
Colosimo,
aye.
Funkhauser,
Aye.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Motion passes.
No Public Safety Committee report, Administration Committee report. I will turn over to Alderman Olszewski.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the renewal of the aggregation program for electrical load in the United City of Yorkville and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved. Second.
Comments or questions on this one?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I actually pushed to get this on the agenda as opposed to the consent agenda. I just want to kind of explain a little bit. When we kind of denied the possibility of going back to aggregation last time around, maybe a month, 6 weeks, 2 months afterwards, I was getting calls with people that were upset that we weren't aggregating, thinking that we were trying to slide something by someone. So as a show of, hey, we're trying to save money potentially, I thought it was a good move to put it on the agenda in full, to kind of understand that if there's an opportunity to save money, we'll jump at it. If there isn't, we won't. And that's pretty much the simple explanation as to why we're open to aggregate bids coming up.
Yes.
And this is only to get bids,
Correct.
correct?
Roll call, please.
Colosimo,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Aye.
Olszewski,
Aye.
Keeling,
Aye.
Coe,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Rivers.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, under Park Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve a land lease agreement between the United City of Yorkville and Illinois Railway LLC, subject to staff and legal review, and authorize the mayor to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on this? Yes.
I just wanted to make it abundantly clear, we don't usually approve items subject to staff and legal review anymore. This motion does have that appended to it. As narrated in the memo, there are 2 sections that are still being negotiated with the railroad staff. And because of their deadlines, requirements for the application process, we would need a vote of authorization at this meeting in order to authorize it before their deadline expires.
Larry?
While you're having discussions with the railroad, is there a possibility to talk about the crossing at Mill? That's pretty rough, and we had talked previously, I think at Public Works, about getting them to fix it. I mean, we're trying to attract people down to the riverfront, and yet to get there, getting over that railroad crossing is pretty difficult sometimes. So.
Yeah, certainly we'll mention it.
Joe?
All right, so I was just kind of doing my my layman's math. So $3,100 to apply, and then roughly $4,100 a year. So let's just say Governor Bruce kicks this can down the road for 2 more years, and we're spending $4,100 a year to lease something we ain't doing nothing with. Does it make sense to go out now and spend $4,100 in addition to the $31,000? Or does it make sense to kind of pull back and go, yeah, we got hosed on that, so we might as well wait until we have the opportunity, jump back in. Even if that agreement's $3,600 or $3,800, we just save $4,100. And then also the other idea was, if they're really after a lease agreement on something like this, it's just a little strip, right?
Yes.
It's a very, very narrow area of land. Can we talk about buying this little thing and just kind of amending it, or they don't do that anymore?
We can talk about it, and they won't listen.
They won't listen, okay. Well, I'm just, from my layman's accounting, I'd much rather not spend $4,100 with the promise of maybe not doing anything than to potentially spend $3,600 or even maybe $41,000 again on an application fee in the future.
Yeah, we had talked about that at length at a staff level, and I'm sure it got brought up at Park Board. Kind of the thought was that we were looking at a bird in the hand situation. We've actually started the application process, I think 3 other times, or kind of toyed with it. And the amount of staff time that it takes to mitigate the insurance requirements and get them to change it, we felt that it was better to just get it in, get it done, get it in place, and then potentially have it for a few years down the road, rather than waiting 6 months from now and maybe something happens before.
Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I understand the thought process of staff to try to get this in place. Best case scenario, the grant is reestablished, we have the lease agreement in place, we can move forward. But that's not to say that 10 years from now, the railroad won't come back to us and say, hey, we're giving you 90-day notice and you have to relocate. We have the right to terminate as well, but the concern I have is this is a $5,300 a year when you put the insurance into it, $5,300 a year that we're leasing this strip of property that can go away at any point. And then we'd have to, redo that. That's $150,000, $130,000 in 30 years, give or take. My concern is we could buy a lot of land for that kind of money for what we're leasing. I mean, we could redesign this project to put the road on the north side. There are options. It's cost intensive. We are taking a leap of faith that the grant is going to be reestablished and that the railroad is not going to terminate this lease on us. I understand the benefit of having this in place just in case we can terminate it. If nothing goes, then we are out over $8,000 if we don't get the grant. If we don't apply for this, the other side is next year The railroad might not want to give us the lease. They could say no. And then we have to go back, redesign the project, and then go for an amendment in front of IDNR again. We're kind of stuck here. There's no great solution. I don't have an answer. I'm inclined to say we go with this, but I'd like to see if there's an alternative so that we're not leasing this property in perpetuity.
Yeah.
I don't like to see that as a long-term option for us.
Yeah, we had talked about putting the road on the north side of the tracks, and I know when Laura Shaw was here, her and I had this discussion for years about, wouldn't it make sense to just put it on the north side? But with the topography there, the fact that some of it's probably in the actual floodway of the river, and then the more significant impediment is the ComEd substation down there, which I think we had cost estimated either removing it or undergrounding it at millions of dollars. We felt that it was probably easier to just use the south side of the tracks, and that was the most cost-effective option.
Oh, but if I could, but my thought is not moving the road on the south side of the building still, but move the road to the north side of the building.
Yes,
That's
what I meant.
That you still avoid the substation if you stay along the north side far enough. But I'm inclined to go ahead with the lease for this year, but explore other options. See what really could be done. I'm just not inclined to continue a lease $5,000 a year. We don't know the insurance is going to stay the same, and the rate could be increased for the contract as well. We don't have a lock on that.
My question was simply if we do the lease, we get the grant, we build the park, then they want to terminate the lease. Now what?
Yeah.
We built it on the right of way on a lease that they can terminate within 90 days.
Yes.
I think that's a horrible idea. I don't think they're going to do it,
Right.
but
It is a risk.
It's-
I think we asked them as part of the process, how often has this occurred? And they said almost never. It's unless they're planning on putting in another track down there or doing some pretty significant improvements. They don't really have a reason to just cancel an agreement and then make us rip it out. It is an absolute risk.
because then we're leasing, once we build it, we're leasing into perpetuity.
Most likely. At that point, it becomes a sunk cost, so it's just the cost of tearing it up if we ever had to.
So I guess I would be okay with doing it short term since we have the 90-day out. So let's lock it in, but I would I'm open to the idea of let's look at redesigning this to avoid the right of way that we have to lease, to see if there's any alternatives, so we're not in this, because then we, over $5,000 a year, over 3 years, 150, 30 years, 150, and hopefully more. I hope the parks are out more than 30 years. Let's use that extra money for the park. Let's add the fishing pier or whatever, let's do something that the residents can actually use versus something where we have a 90-day axe over our head for the rest of the existence of this park.
Will redesigning that affect our grant?
Potentially, depending on what you do.
I'm not proposing we remove any of the features or anything which are the key point values that they look at for the grant or the key features of the park. It's kind of more of just a layout and how you get there, and
Yes.
not removing features or anything of that nature.
Understood. The tightness of that entire area with the existing building, the railroad, and the ComEd substation, and then the river on the north side is very limiting in how you can lay it out. So, if anybody wants to get in the nuts and bolts of the actual decision, I'm sure that Tim could talk about it.
Sure.
if he
And
wants
a
to.
lot of these things we discussed at the park board, and we were just looking at this, buying us a year, locking in the lease, locking in the insurance for a year, seeing if the grant get reinstated. Our hands are tied with this grant being suspended. We can't even talk to INDNR, which we've discussed with EEI about redeveloping the park and trying to get around this. We can't do anything with INDNR until the grants are reinstated. So we're basically in a tough spot here. This has to be reapproved by June 9th, or we have to reapply for a lease that we may or may not get again. And so we looked at it from the park board and just say, let's buy ourselves a year. All these questions, they ask the same questions. They expect us to come back with answers on those as well.
Oh, I kind of had a question.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Carlos said. I think that I'm okay with for the next year. Maybe we have a green space or something for the street. Like I said, we have to look at the plans to see if that's possible, but I think that sounds reasonable.
Joe?
So your idea is to go forward for a year. When it gets reinstated, then you can have an open dialogue with IDNR about potentially moving, at least shifting it a little bit farther north.
Well, any changes you make to the grant, you have to get approved from IDNR.
Right.
So the fact this was already submitted, this is what's been locked in.
Right.
Until the grant's reinstated, our person, there's nothing she can do. We can't discuss with them different things. So I mean, we've already started the process with EI of looking at different options. But as Bart has mentioned, we are pretty limited down there when you get
Right.
into floodplains and things of that nature.
Right. Well,
So-
I mean, when you're talking about 150 grand over 30 years for, it's not even noticeable. Granted, yes, it's integral as far as accessing the area, but your approach as far as going forward for a year, hopefully they'll get reinstated and then kind of opening that
And we
back
can
up.
come back. I guess our fear was, is we turn this down, we wait for the grant to get reinstated. Now you're another 90 days before we can do anything. And that's if they would come back and say, here, you can have the lease again, or what the insurance quote might be as well.
Now, in the redevelopment plans, are we doing any substantial improvements to property that's in the right of way, or it's just the access road?
Well, it's the access road, and I mean, there is just a little bit north of what their easement is, there would be parking right along hydraulic, that's not there now. So there's a few, like 10 spots right where the bridge is, where you can pull in onto hydraulic and park. We would actually continue that down all the way down to Geneva Kayak. But that's not really in their easement, but just the access road is what we have to have, the ability to do that.
Mhm.
And then you got the access road going all the way to the back to where you would eventually get to the fishing pier, to the
Now,
kayak chute.
is the plan to leave that all gravel like it is now, or are we gonna pave that? We're gonna pave that?
I think it was gonna be paved all the way back there.
Okay. So we can go in there and pave all that, and they can say with 90 days notice.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we had the 90 days too to get out of this if we can come up with a different plan or things of that nature to be able to say, you know, we're gonna get out of this lease now.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
What was the Parks Board's thoughts on this?
They had all the same questions the city council has here tonight, of the same concerns, and obviously with the money over 30, 40 years, you know, how much money that would be, they had the same concerns, and I think it was the same thing as we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place right now. At least let's prove it to the city council. The recommendation was to approve it to you guys, and then see where we're at once the grant gets reinstated before we start getting going.
Yes.
Just a quick question, when this all came to the city council and it was at park board, we knew we were gonna have to get a lease and comment at that point, right? We knew that in the plan. Yeah, so I mean, we approved it with that foreknowledge, it wasn't as if this is a surprise now.
Right. But when you're also pulling a trigger on something that, yeah, it's not really a reality right now, that's when it's more of a, that's
Yeah, but I understand that, I mean, I don't, I mean, if the grant is reinstated, then we have to start all over from square one with comment trying to get this lease. We already, I mean, I think we should just do it.
At least it's available.
Yes.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Funkelsman,
Aye.
Wojciechowski,
Aye.
Teeman,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Raiders,
All right.
Melisner.
Aye.
All right, nothing from Plan Commissioner, ZBA, no city council report, city clerk's report. Any community or liaison reports? Yes, sir.
Hit the lights. I'm totally kidding, but I had to go on for a second. All right. The United City of Yorkville and the Yorkville Parks and Rec Department is challenging Yorkville residents to lighten up. That come through? All right, lighten up. Do you need to lose all that dome weight? Does the dome have you feeling bloated? Pop the dome. Deflate the dome. Lighten Up is a weight loss competition that will help you get healthy, fit, and fabulous this summer. We've already got pretty much 100% buy-in from the police department. Eric has already pushed all the streets guys, they're gonna be involved. Everybody in this building will be lightening up. All you have to do is complete a simple registration form. with your current weight by Friday, June 5th, and then you begin your delicious weight loss journey to compete for the greatest percentage of weight loss by August 28th. The top 3 winners will be announced and given awards at Hometown Days. I've also heard that one of those awards is a dual massage for myself and the mayor. Timeline is June 1st, all registrations turned in with your current weight. July 18th at Ribs on the River.
No, is it?
They're going to be announcing the top 3 along with other fun statistics. That's like the halfway point. August 28th, all final weights are submitted. The top 3 winners will come in for a final weigh-in. And then September 5th, Hometown Days, awards, fireworks, prizes. The cool thing about doing something for yourself like this is all you really have to do is make an effort not to shove certain things in your front face hole. And it sounds like I'm being facetious, and I kind of am. But when I was going through my own health scare in 2009 or so, I first got my wife's permission to throw everything in the pantry and the freezer away. And then we started simple, and everything was boring and bland. But I assure you, I started out boring and bland, but now I am a zesty hunk of man. My goal for 2016 is to lift a Fiat over my head. This is just another way to get me there. See, there's phones ringing everywhere because we're all excited to lighten up. So what we're trying to do is get the entire city of Yorkville to get excited about, taking our shirts off for Hometown Day. So I'm not promising anything. I do accept tips, but I would like you to lighten up! See how he took his headphones off? So if you have any questions, I encourage you to communicate with Parks and Rec or myself or Chief Art. See, phones are going up. Everybody's excited about lighting it up. So if you have any questions, you know who to yell at.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frieders. Would anybody like to try and top that?
I just have a question. You said you're putting your weight on the registration form, there's no weigh-in? Because we have a bunch of cheaters.
There are men with guns, and there are...
Because I'm putting in that I weigh 3 1/4. Just for the record.
Some verification will be needed. I'm not going to go any further. Don't have enough thermometers.
Well, I'm convinced. I'm going to do it.
Okay, any other community and liaison reports? Are you sure? Okay, what else do we got here? Any staff reports?
No reports.
Any additional business? We already did executive session. Do we have any citizen comments on any item that you wish to speak about? Brian, you have anything to say?
No.
Okay.
Who is it you would like to speak to after this meeting about some of the business that was conducted with citizens today? Which of these kind gentlemen are you going to ask for 5 minutes at a time when we're done?
It won't be Joel.
Speak up, what do you mean? Quick, we're wasting time. They got better things to do.
Tacos.
Okay, you want to talk to Alderman Frieders about losing weight?
No.
He
just spins around.
Yes, you do, Brian. That's the man to talk to.
You want to talk to Alderman Cox about that annexation thing? We're all here, right?
And Brian, you need to speak to somebody because you're working on citizenship in the community, Mayor Page? Okay. Well, anyone you'd like to approach, be happy to spend some time with you after the meeting. And ma'am, did you have something you wish to?
Yes.
Figure?
I'm Rhonda Conlon, I'm from Blackberry Wood subdivision, and all the neighbors left me to come, I don't know what it is. We have a problem with speeders, it's a lot of houses are being built, a lot of children live there, and we don't have sidewalks, so the kids have to ride their bikes on the streets. We have no speed limit signs in the subdivision, no stop signs, no children at play zones, and we're all concerned. And at St. John's and Chemical Trail, there's always accidents because there's only a field side here. And we want to know what we need to do to get some of this stuff going. We need to get a petition going.
Yeah, I think this is a good first step. I'm sure they're going to be discussed at Public Works Committee. I mean, everyone who needs to hear it is in the room today. So, I mean, Eric Deuce is our Director of Public Works and our Chief of Police. Our engineering firm is here, so, yeah, we can, you guys want to put something on the next Public Works agenda?
Our builder told us that we're not getting sidewalks like behind the barn because the village won't release them on it. The prints show, because I think his name is Bob, he pulled the prints out for us to say, yes, there's supposed to be a sidewalk. In the back on Campbell Trail. The kids have nowhere, they can't even walk the bus stop on the sidewalk. Because there's no full sidewalks there. And all the houses are in there.
I'll be happy to look into those things after the meeting. We can take a list and send you an email with some responses.
Oh, okay, so I don't have to do anything else on top.
Well, give us your contact info.
We'll take care of it.
Yeah, if, before you leave, if you could just sign in and, you know, put your email address or phone number, that way staff has a way to contact you. There's this, sheet up there you can sign in on. Okay, any other citizen comments? If not, meeting adjourned. Yeah, I got things to do myself. Jared is going straight to Joe.